just business news, we're news for business people.
All you need to know on Bloomberg Quint. I'm Darshan Mehta. Joining me on the show is Agam Vakil. Agam will speak about the FNO trade setup. I will talk about the general cues that are happening in the market currently. Let's switch focus to what's happening as far as the SGX Nifty is concerned. It's come off the day's high. It was up more than 35 points at one point of time. It has come off. Asia as a pack is not doing extremely well in trade. So that's the first cue, but nevertheless, it's a positive opening as far as our markets are concerned. The ADRs did extremely well. Wipro was up 4%. Vedanta was up almost 3%. The commodity basket doing extremely well. You have counters like ICICI Bank, which was up. Tata Motors was up. Infosys was pretty much one of the only counters which didn't do well in trade yesterday. Now, as far as crude is concerned, crude trades muted after dropping almost 0.2% overnight. Cues coming in from the stockpiles. So the oil, US crude stockpiles extend the drop, and that is why price is managing to remain above the $57 barrel per mark. Mixed closing for base metals on the LME. Only one of them didn't do well, but apart from it, nickel was up 2%, lead was up 1.3%, tin was up almost 1%. You have aluminium and copper which were up in trade. Zinc was the only one which was down in trade. As far as China is concerned, muted start for commodities in China. You have copper which is gaining, iron ore as well as rubber are trading with a negative bias. As far as gold is concerned, gold has snapped the two-day rally. It's closed almost it closed almost 0.5% overnight, so that's the cue that's coming in from gold. As far as fund flows are concerned, FI sold in almost 430 crores in the cash market. This is the NSE provisional data that is there. DIs were aggressive buyers, 1100 crores of net buying happening by the DIs in the cash market. Now, if you're looking at the month-to-date basis, 2,700 crores of net selling by the FIs, while DIs continue to be aggressive buyers. They have bought in almost 5,700 crores in the cash market. Now, what happened with the market as such? The VIX was down 12% since the market rallied. The sectors that did extremely well, you had auto and metals which gained over 1%. PSU banks and pharma was the other one. The PSU banking index was up almost 2.3%, which was extremely one of the best performing indices in trade. The Nifty was up 55 points. What led? SBI, ICICI Bank, Vedanta and Maruti. Infosys, Kotak Mahindra Bank and Yes Bank were the one that contributed on the negative side. But Agam, what are the FNO cues like?
Well, more writing in the puts as we saw yesterday, considering the Nifty once again it's towards 10,400. We are looking at some amount of unwinding there. But when it comes to the Nifty Bank too, it's the situation is similar. So while the index has moved up by as much as 0.6%, we've seen unwinding of nearly 13% in open interest. That said, let's move on. VIX has fallen to as much as 12% and to around 13. And this is expected because we are now past the event, and which means that we have the expectations of traders looking at more position building. But with that, the put call ratio is still standing at around 1.3. And in terms of changes in open interest, there were very few which were most active, but we did see a lot more writing in 10,400 put and unwinding in the 10,400 and 10,300 calls. No changes in the FNO band, no stocks in or out of the FNO band, but Page Industries saw fresh longs, and we also saw fresh longs in DCB Bank, which also did move up substantially with a 29% increase in OI. And on the other hand, we did see some shorts building up in UPL. So we'll be watching out for that. Of course, with UPL, we saw about near 9.4% increase towards open interest. That said, there is yet another stock that we will be watching out for, and that's the stock of the day. And Darshan here to tell us more.
Yeah, so Agam, the stock of the day is Godavari Ispat, and it's doing Godavari Power and Ispat. It's doing extremely well. Now, there's this very big bullish note that's come in from Edelweiss, which puts a target price of 395, which means a potential 70% upside is something that they see. Basically, what this company does is that it makes pellets. What Edelweiss has noticed is the fact that there is a big structural change that is happening from the production of a low-grade iron ore to high-quality iron ore, and that is where Godavari Power will benefit, because it's one of the lowest cost producers of pellets in India currently. Now, the benefit that is happening and what they are seeing is the fact that it has one of the lowest cost producers, has substantial capacity in Chhattisgarh, and it's seeing significant amount of demand that is coming in from China. Some of the Indian DRI manufacturers or producers are also seeing a lot of demand, and that is aiding volumes for the company. It is backward integrated, and that is something that will help the cash flows come in much faster, and these cash flows will be used to reduce debt for the company. Pellet demand in India is expected to grow at high double-digit volumes, so that is something that will aid volumes for the company and revenues for the company. As far as valuations are concerned, it's traded at a mid-cycle EV to EBITDA multiple of 5 times on FY19 basis, which they believe is fairly valued, and they see a 70% upside. So probably expect more traction to happen in the stock in trade today.
Well, from the commodity space, let me start off with the base metals, which actually had a strong close on the London Metal Exchange. The index itself gained 0.5% and was up for 4 straight days now. As far as individual base metals are concerned, we saw nickel was up more than 2%, and lead and tin actually gained more than 1% each. While on the other hand, copper and aluminium were flat in trade, and zinc ended negative. As far as iron ore prices are concerned, we've seen a 2% uptake come about this morning, and over the last 2 days we've seen iron ore prices jump as much as 7 to 8%. From the brokerages, we have an interesting note from JP Morgan, in which they say that aluminium prices could decline further, going hit by the Chinese demand that is going to come in 2018. As far as COMEX gold is concerned, we saw a 0.5% uptake overnight, and the gold futures actually closed above the 1260 mark. We also saw that the dollar index fell as much as 0.25%, so that aided in the uptake of gold prices. Moving on to the oil prices, we've seen flat trading in oil prices as far as Brent and WTI is concerned. As far as some of the news is concerned, we have noted that the oil workers in Nigeria have suspended their strike, and also that the repairs that were found in the crack of the North Sea oil pipeline are on track and will be completed very soon. That said, let's shift focus to the currency space. Saloni, what are the cues that you're picking up?
So, Jaish, talking about Indian rupee first, it was quite a volatile session for the rupee yesterday, and in line with local equities market, the rupee too ended lower after BJP managed to win assembly elections but with fewer than expected seats. Now, early morning yesterday, the currency crashed almost 1% against the dollar to hit a 3-week low after trends suggested a close fight between two political parties. However, the rupee managed to recover most of the losses, and it ended the day 0.3% lower at 64.24 levels against the dollar. On the global front, the common currency euro edged higher after inflation data came in line with market expectations. It came in at 1.5% on a year-on-year basis for the month of November, while the pound consolidated gains above 1.3350 mark throughout the day after industrial order data showed that manufacturing orders touched a 30-year peak. On a wider perspective, Brexit and political uncertainties in UK will continue to weigh on the pound. Coming back to the greenback, all eyes will be on US Congress, which is expected to deliver a final version of the tax reform bill in the coming week. Now, coming back home, dollar rupee is trading flat in the non-deliverable forward market, which indicates a flat opening for Indian rupee in today's trade. Moving on to bond market, the 10-year benchmark yield ended 5 basis points higher at 7.18%, while global funds increased their rupee debt holding for the second consecutive session yesterday. They infused close to 17 crore according to NSDL data.
Amongst the stocks that we're tracking in trade today, a lot of mid-cap names actually, starting off with LT Foods, where the company's QIP has opened and they've set a floor price at 79.13. That's a 2.5% discount to yesterday's closing price. So we could see some negative reaction there. Apart from that, we're also tracking JM Financial, as the board has approved raising 650 crores via the issue of securities. A couple of interesting bulk deals also that we saw yesterday. First up, Tridan Infra, when the government of Singapore bought 1.2% stake yesterday. The stock ended about 1% lower, so do keep an eye out on that name. We could see some positive reaction there. Another interesting bulk deal also was in Orchid Pharma, where Serum Institute sold 0.9% stake. Now they had close to 5.4% stake at the end of September. And remember, there was a ET report yesterday suggesting that Aurobindo Pharma and Dr. Reddy's are looking to buy stake in this company. The stock, of course, ended about 5% higher. So let's see how it reacts today. That apart, another name that you're tracking is also Bharat Wire Ropes, where Sanjay Dangi's Mentor Capital bought 0.6% stake. Again, this stock already ended about 6% higher. So we could probably see some more positive reaction coming in on this name today as well. Interestingly, South Indian Bank is also meeting a couple of institutional investors, which includes names like KOTAK Mutual Funds, L&T Mutual Fund, ICICI Pru, Goldman Sachs and White Oak. That was on December 19th, which is today. Not only that, through the week, they are going to meet a couple of institutional investors. So do keep an eye out on that name as well. And lastly, of course, we're also going to be watching out for HDFC Limited, where its board meeting is supposed to be today to consider fundraising. You also had a Bloomberg Quint exclusive, according to which KKR and GIC are looking to invest close to $2 billion in the company. So those are some of the stocks that you need to track today.
We've got 49% of the votes, and in the entire GST affected areas, if at all you want to call them that, Surat, we swept the election, Ahmedabad swept the election, Rajkot, Parur. I think GST or the Patidar Andolan has not had an impact other than the Congress effort to vitiate and bring the election down to caste and communal issues, make derogatory comments about the Honorable Prime Minister. Other than vitiating the atmosphere, I don't think these issues have had an impact on the election result. The big picture is that we fight every election to win every seat. So in that sense, the numbers may change, the vote share remains intact. With a much lesser vote share, we got 325 out of 400 seats in UP. So every election and every state has its own dynamics.
Okay, if you don't see this as some kind of a decision on GST, would you then concede to the analysis coming out today that there is an urban-rural divide? What has pulled the BJP through are the urban strongholds, and Gujarat is a highly urbanized state, which is why you're absolutely correct when you mention Surat, Rajkot, Ahmedabad constituencies. But when you look at Amreli, when you look at Gir, when you look at rural areas, there has been a shift to the Congress, and that perhaps resonates with farmer distress and other issues like that. Is the BJP seized of that voice despite or in spite of the victory, Mr. Goyal?
Madam, every election we always introspect, we always see what we should do better, what we can do better. But even in this situation, if you look at the voting in the rural areas, the vote share of the Congress and BJP is almost at the same level. They've certainly got more seats there, and they've gained in that, and one must recognize that. But the fact is that even there, the vote share hasn't been as if we've drastically come down. We are at 45% both, Congress and the BJP. So in that sense, that the rural areas also have been equally turning out for both the BJP and the Congress. And even in the past, the vote share has not been very much different in the rural Gujarat. The second important point is farmers across the country went through almost 3 years of drought. Even in the current year, we saw some parts of India getting very good rainfall and other parts of India getting very little rainfall. So while the national mean was good, different states saw the monsoon differently. So we've had issues, we've had challenges. Different states have addressed them in different manners. In Gujarat also, I'm sure our state leadership will be looking at what happened and what needs to be done going forward.
Just one word on the young leaders, and this is something which has been pointed out by a number of BJP leaders, so I'm sure you will agree that while top Congress leaders may have lost some of their seats, the trio of Alpesh Jignesh and those backed by Hardik Patel did phenomenally in their seats. And this is also a resonance of the young voice who wants affirmative action because he is not getting jobs. Now the BJP's answer has been, well, go start your own business. Is that the messaging that you will take forward, sir, in the remainder of this government's term at the centre?
Well, Gujarat is a state of enterprise entrepreneurs, and I think in Gujarat we have seen more entrepreneurs spring up over the last many years than probably anywhere else in the country. It's a state of young people who are very enterprising, who look at starting their own business and go across the world and become successful entrepreneurs. Having said that, I think every government across the world is seized of the challenges of the changing nature of jobs in the world. With the advent of technology, with new ways of doing work and business, this is going to be something which the whole world is working towards. I've said it on many occasions that the traditional jobs in the old sense of the term is not the way of the future. For example, we used to set up a large thermal power plant. It gave 5, 6, 10,000 jobs and produced a certain amount of electricity. Now that same amount of electricity is produced through renewable sources or newer forms of technology, providing maybe 10 times the number of people a working opportunity, but not necessarily a structured job in the traditional sense of the term. So the world is evolving. India is a part of that evolution.
Well, among some other stocks to track, first up we have DCB Bank. It was up 2% yesterday and saw delivery buying in excess of 60 crores. The delivery volume actually surged nearly 4 times at about 31 lakh shares as compared to its 10-day average. And the total volume too surged more than 3 times at about 53 lakh shares versus the 10-day average. The other stock to watch out for would be Petronet LNG. It was up nearly 3% and saw delivery buying of nearly 200 crores. The delivery volume more than doubled at about 76 lakh shares as compared to its 5-day average, and the total volume too surged about 50% at 1.1 crore shares versus the 5-day average. The last and final stock, UPL, it was down 1% and saw delivery selling in excess of 150 crores. Delivery volume was up 120% at about 24 lakh shares versus the 10-day average, and the total volume too surged at about 90% at 39 lakh shares versus the 10-day average.
On the big brokerages, first we have is KOTAK Securities on Talbros Automotive. Now they have initiated coverage on the stock with a buy rating and a target price of 389. Now company is a market leader in the gasket business, and it gets around 67% of its revenue from this gasket business. Now the growth in passenger car segment would drive the gasket business going forward according to the brokerage. The company also has a forging business which contributes close to 19% to its consolidated revenue, and this forging business is seeing some surge in orders, and multiple order wins gives a visibility of strong revenue growth going forward in the forging business. The company also has 3 joint ventures which have been seeing some strong revenue traction. Now going forward, according to the brokerage, heat shield could be a big opportunity for the company. Also robust earnings and limited capital expenditure is expected to drive company's return on equity. Now the company's return on equity is expected to expand to 18% by financial year 2020. They're expecting the debt to remain broadly stable, but the net debt to equity to reduce. Also they're expecting the company's revenue to grow at a compounded annual growth rate of 16% and net profit to double over FY17 to FY20. Lastly, strong growth in automotive demand, new product technology introduction, new order wins, and focus on export are the positive when it comes to Talbros Automotive. Second, we have is Spark Capital on PSU project. Now they have initiated coverage on the stock with a buy rating and a target price of 640. Now the company is expected to benefit from the upcoming industrial and institutional building opportunities in Gujarat. Now they are expecting a conservative conservative order inflow of close to 1200 to 1500 crore rupees annually for the next 2 years. Now, given the healthy free cash flow of PSP project, they are saying that the company will be comfortably able to fund its capital expenditure and working capital requirements going forward. They are expecting the company's revenue, EBITDA and net profit to grow at a compounded annual growth rate of 49%, 49% and 46% over FY18 to FY20. They are saying that the top line growth will mainly come in from execution of the Surat Diamond Exchange project that the company recently won. Lastly, lean balance sheet, prudent working capital management and profitable execution are the positives when it comes to PSP project. They are also saying that visibility of order inflow and sustainability of high growth could be a challenge beyond financial year 2020. Third, we have a Spark Capital on Capacit Infra. Now, they have initiated coverage on the stock with an ad rating and a target price of 400. Now, they are saying that long-term opportunities exist for the company as its clients are the most trusted by home buyers. Now, company's key clients include Godavari, Vadhva, Lodha, Brigade, Oberoi, Kalpatru, etc. Now, going forward, repeat order from these clients and opportunities from selective new geographic areas are likely to benefit the company. Now, they're saying that the brokerage is also expecting the company to get projects worth around 2,000 to 2,600 crore rupees annually going forward. The company's focus to win more projects in the design and build mode will lead to positive surprises in the margins, according to Spark Capital. Now, they're expecting the company's revenue, EBITDA and net profit to grow at a compounded annual growth rate of 24%, 22% and 30% over FY18 to FY20. Lastly, they're expecting the working capital situations to remain largely stable, and they're saying that cash flow would be sufficient to meet the cash outflows.
Here are a few stories that you should consider reading on the website bloombergquint.com. First up, widening its probe into Bitcoin investments and trade, the Income Tax Department is set to issue notices to 4 to 5 lakh high net worth individuals across the country who are trading on the exchanges of this unregulated virtual currency. Adani Enterprises will build Australia's largest coal mine by itself after cancelling a planned $1.5 billion deal with Australia's Downer EDI Limited to help construct the Carmichael project in Queensland, which is a state in Australia. An Amtrak passenger train derailed during its inaugural run along a faster route through Washington state in the US. It sent rail cars plunging onto a busy interstate during the morning rush hour and resulted in several injuries and deaths. More details on that are coming in. But now, after BJP's win in Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh, Prime Minister Modi has hailed the election results as an extraordinary victory for the government's developmental politics. He also said that India is ready to reform, transform and perform. Listen in.
इन सभी चुनाव नतीजों ने एक बात सिद्ध कर दी है कि देश रिफॉर्म के लिए तैयार है, परफॉर्म करने वाली हर बात को पॉजिटिव देख रहा है और ट्रांसफॉर्म होने के संबंध में भरपूर विश्वास रखती है। ये चुनाव लगातार दिखा रहे। 2014 मई में लोकसभा के चुनाव के बाद इस देश में विकास का एक माहौल बना है। एक ऐसी सरकार है जिसमें निर्णय लेने की ताकत है। एक ऐसी सरकार है जिसकी नीयत में कोई खोट नहीं है। एक ऐसी सरकार है जिसकी नीतियां साफ सुथरा है। एक ऐसी सरकार है जो कलेक्टिव लीडरशिप को लेकर के चलती है।
Well, that's all you need to know going into trade today. Indian Open will take you through market opening. Thanks for tuning in. This is Bloomberg Quint.